After 10 years of gaming, I have accumulated hundreds of games on Steam, many of which I haven't even played. So I'm taking on the challenge. Beat every game in my Steam library, A to Z. The rules are simple. Reach the end screen for every possible game. At the top of the list is Adr1ft, a first-person space adventure game. Stay tuned to the end of the video for my final review and thoughts about this game, as well as the rest of the series. After completing the tutorial, I found myself adrift in front of a wrecked space station. Without much more explanation, I pushed forward and found my first of many oxygen bottles. You can see the oxygen gauge in the bottom right-hand corner of my HUD. My favorite part about this game came next, which is finding out that you can swipe things throughout space. Look at those physics. After a brief section of going through the space station, I finally figure out where we are, North Star 4. I have no idea where that is or what it means, but by the looks of things are not going so well. After wandering around for a little while, I found a suit repair mechanic, which is great because my suit was getting a little banged up. But also, I can die from crashing into too many walls or other things, which is a worrying sign indeed. With a fresh suit, I kept pressing forward and eventually found my first audio log, which I proceeded to then yeet out of the way while I listened to whatever it had to say. Okay.
Personal data devices detected and online. Location coordinates unknown.
Well, that was useless. I'm glad she threw it away. That wasn't me. I didn't do that. That was all her.
The door opened up to what I found to be the main hub of this game, where I would have to keep coming back to work with the computer, and also where I found the escape pod that I would eventually need to use to get back to Earth. I logged onto the computer, found everything was red, and discovered the main gameplay loop, which is to go out, fix something, grab something, come back, and make sure that it all works in the computer. With my objective now set, I set out to find the first thing I needed to fix, and along the way I found this big tree. Isn't it pretty? How does it grow in space? I didn't think they grew that high. Regardless, I kept moving forward and found something very interesting in space. It was another explorer. Come to find out that he's one of the crewmates that I was working with, and he seemed to meet a worse fate than me.
Oh, McDonald's dead.
After getting lost for a while, I finally found what I was looking for, which included a handy upgrade to my oxygen tank, and a strange hexagon which I needed to bring back to the hub and insert into the computer. On the way back to the hub, I ran through this neat little plant section. They seem to be growing it as part of their project. When I got back to the hub, I realized they turned on these neat little oxygen refilling stations. Definitely a lot more handy than the oxygen tanks just floating around space. After spinning around in circles for a while, I went through another plant growing section of the station to insert the hexagon into the computer, thus completing the first part of my self-rescue mission. From there, the gameplay started to loop where I went back to the hub, got my next location objective, and set out to go fix another part of the station. Upon arrival, I came up to another computer that showed me there were 3 parts of the station that needed fixed. I set out to the first part of this station that needed fixed and found a big ball. I figured it would start rotating as soon as I turned it on, so I knew that I had to be careful of that next time I came through. I turned on the ball, noticed that it started spinning just as I thought, and then had this realization.
What is stopping me from just like going to the next one?
So naturally, I had to risk my oxygen levels and find out. Nice, just one more to go. After looking at my oxygen gauge, I figured it'd be a good idea to go refill and then take the quote-unquote safer route through the ball and fix the third and final one. After fixing all the balls, telling the computer I did so, I then was faced with this fun little platforming section where I had to dodge these spinny things to get to the final computer. Once there, I was able to upgrade my propulsion, giving me a higher max speed, and got another hexagon. Back to the hub I went without too much of an issue, well...
Alright. Well, this 4-hour game just turned into 6 hours.
Except for that. But to the hub I made it nevertheless. I turned in another hexagon, and made my way outside to this neat-looking ball of electricity. Obviously, electricity means bad, but I didn't realize how bad. I may have died once, or twice, and almost a third.
Just open up the door. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. You can do it. I'll get you oxygen. Ooh, audio log. Let me get that first. Look at that. We did it.
But eventually I figured it out and made it to the next computer, where I was able to upgrade my mobility, which gives me a boost, as well as finding another hexagon. And back to the hub I went to turn in that hexagon. See what I mean though? The gameplay loop is just go, fix something, get a hexagon, come back, turn it in, go, fix something, get a hexagon, turn it in. To say that it became monotonous at this point is an understatement. If the mechanics were a little bit easier or a little bit faster, I think it would be fine, but clearly, as slow as you move and dying sets you back so far, it becomes a bit tedious. But nevertheless, I press on because the challenge is to complete the game. With my newfound boost power, I was able to dodge debris throughout space to get to the next section I needed to repair. After working my way through what was by far the longest part of this game, I found another one of the crewmates, and this happened.
Hello.
Sebastian.
Clearly, by this point of the game, I was a little mentally unstable by the monotony of it. All astronaut slapping aside, I did finally make it to the last computer, where I got my final upgrade that increased the durability of my suit and my final hexagon.
86%.
Alright, this is the last one, I think. Supposedly. Where are you putting this, by the way? Do you have, like, pockets? Is this, like, a fad dress? Comes with pockets?
At this point in the game, my mind was really starting to wander. I finally found myself back at the hub, where I turned in my final hexagon and was able to get into the escape pod.
Active. Cerebrum deactivation sequence complete. Core systems offline.
Unless that's like the
Hardman
percentage
Aerospace
completion I did
North
with
Star 4
each
Chalmers
one.
EEV launch commencing in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
A summary of the story is that the astronauts were up there to do some form of mission that will make money via the plants that we saw all throughout the space station. However, the lead astronaut, the character we play, pushes the rest of the crew a little too hard, and disaster strikes. With that, credits started to roll, thus completing the first game in this challenge. Overall, I thought the game was fairly well done. It was a good concept for me. The game went a little long. It was about 3 hours for me to complete from start to finish, with several deaths in there. But the gameplay loop got a little bit stale after the first or second time. I would have liked to have seen for this to be featured in another game similar to Subnautica. As it stands, I don't think this game is worth picking up for any amount of money, but it is a good experience, and it seemed to be good experience for the developers as well. And that's it. If you liked this video and would like to see more, let me know in the comments, and subscribe. Next, we'll be taking a dive through the campaign in Age of Empires 2, a classic. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Hold me close till I get out.